We had a few technical difficulties yesterday. So I want to do a round two of the video that I did yesterday. Now, it's not going to be exactly verbatim what we did yesterday. So for those who didn't get a chance to see yesterday, I went along and actually recorded myself doing a bit of a deep dive with Tep, who's our SEO lead here at the business, walking through some of the potential like analysis of some of the drops that we've been having. But yeah, if you're tuning in, let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to get straight into it because I can only be on for sort of 25 minutes. Obviously, sort of heading towards the end of the day. So the title of this video is Analyzing Search Traffic, How to Use Google Search Console. Now, if you're a business owner, there is one tool, notwithstanding the, there is two tools as a business owner you should have access to and should know how to use. And I'll do videos on them both in due course. One is Google Analytics, and I'm going to do a video on Google Analytics and some of the things you should be watching out for on that. And Google Search Console is the other. Now, if you don't have access to your Google Search Console, turn this off. Go talk to your webmaster or web designer or current SEO company and get access to it. It is the single most undervalued tool in SEO, in my opinion. It's probably the tool I'm in pretty much every day. And as a business owner, you should be in there. And you have an SEO, that's important. But I get it a lot where I have clients and they're like, oh, I checked, we've lost rankings for SEO Perth. And it's like, how are you determining this? Are you just Googling yourself? Or are you going off some kind of rank tracker or some kind of free rank tracker? So I try and teach every client that's willing to listen how to use Google Search Console because it's extremely important and it's a very, very valuable tool. So I'm going to go through Google Search Console today, look at myself, look at a few clients, and just talk about what it can do and some of the features. So if you're a business owner, please watch this. Please learn how to use Search Console because it's a really awesome tool. You don't necessarily need much experience to be able to interpret how it works. So I'm just going to share my screen here for a second. Guys, if you have, leave your things in the comments. Hopefully you can see that. So just sing out if you can't actually see it. I'm just going to check on my feed here to make sure it's coming up properly. So just bear with me here. Come on. Oh, it's still low. There we go. I just want to see if it's coming up. Hopefully you can see. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of the chat box for a sec. Guys, if you can't hear me, let me know. So this is Google Search Console, and I'm just going to bring up my client myself for a sec because I'm always, I believe a good SEO should be doing search engine optimization for themselves, and I'm no exception. So Google Search Console is basically our direct connection to Google. So it used to be called Google Webmasters Tools, and it's basically a set of tools and a set of data points that allow us to communicate directly to Google and instruct Google to do things. So from here, we can add in a sitemap. We can remove links, so we can check to see if Google's given us some action. It's given us some penalties, like you always hear about getting penalized by Google. That always pops up in here. We can check our links. We can see what our core web vitals are. Through here and what the experience of the people are. Coverage, things like that. So we can do a lot of the. Oh, 6 loaded pages. What pages these are? Oh. See, so this is the value of it. I'm going to have to have a look at this in a sec because a few of our pages aren't being indexed, but that's okay. I'll have a look in a sec. That's not a problem we can sort right now. I can driving, so I can only listen. Pat, thank you for tuning in regardless. Hopefully you don't crash on the way. So Google Search Console, why am I preaching that a business owner should look at this? It's the main reason for that is that it's real data. The data that is on Google Search Console is the actual data from Google itself. There's no manipulation. There's no having to worry about APIs and worry about the integrity of the data. This is raw data from Google. And it comes in a few flavors. But the main screen we're going to look at today is actually our performance tab. So you can see on the left-hand side here, so this is Google Search Console. You've got to activate a business. So I'll just pick one that's deactivated. As you can see, we have a few clients, but like, let's say this one here. You can see this verification. What it's doing is looking for a certain piece of code to to verify ownership. But we've done that. So you got your overview screen. This gives you a bit of an idea of like the key metrics available to you in Search Console. But generally, what I do first thing is I'm just checking this as we go to see if there's any comments. What I do as we go is the first thing I do, look at performance tab. So this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to Google Search Console, and this is the value in Search Console is the performance tab. And basically up the top here, you have a filter of filters. So you have the search type, so you can filter by like image search or video or news search. You can compare different types of search to each other. You have date ranges, so you can pick up to the last 16 months. If I just zoom out, you can see the last 16 months is there. Or I can go all the way into the last 7 days like that. You can compare as well. So I can compare the last 6 months to the previous 6 months through this bit here. And you can see last 6 months to the previous, which is really good. Then you also have different filter elements based on specific strings. So you can see I can look at a specific page if I want to and compare 2 pages together. I can look at a specific query that we rank for and so on and so forth. But what we'll do is we'll set it to like the standard window, which is generally the 3-month view. And I'll run you through the first 3 items across the top here because they're super, in my opinion, they're pretty valuable to know. So the beauty about Google and why I think it's better than a lot of the tools out there is it tells you the information that that's relevant. It could have, the amount of data that it collects on people, it could have 100 tabs here, but we have access to 4 tabs. We have the total clicks, which is here, which is your blue line. This is on any given day, how many people have clicked on from a search result to the page. So this is all organic search. There's no paid search in this. Again, I'm just periodically checking to see if anyone has any questions. Ask your questions, guys. If you have questions, just put them in the chat and I'll answer them as we go, as I check. So you got the clicks here. And so you can see here on Saturday, September the 12th, I had 9 clicks to my online guide. On this day, we had 15 clicks. And this is just organic. There's no paid search in this, just organic. Then you have impressions. So impressions, anytime your result is visible to be clicked. So that counts as an impression. Anytime you can be clicked on, basically is an impression. So that's the purple line. And you can see the impressions is generally significantly higher than the clicks. So you can see here we had on the 20th of September, we had 4,600 impressions, and then we had 4 clicks. Oh, so 20th, whatever it was there. We had 5 clicks and 4,500 impressions. Then the third tab you've got here is click-through rate. And basically click-through rate is this number minus this divided by this number. So you can see on this, I'll just bring up all 3. You can have all 4 up at once, but you can see on this day here, we had 6,000 impressions and 5 clicks, which works out to be a click-through rate of 0.1%. So of those 6,000 people, less than 0.1% came to the site. But then on other days, you can see here, where are we? Why is it not showing? Yeah, so like you can see how that, and that's your like green line, for lack of a better term. Green line, you can see click-through rate. And then your final one is average position. Now, take average position as a grain of salt. It's purely an indicator. There's so much tied into average position. If you actually look at this, it tells you what it. So it's the average position of the search result for your site using the highest position for your search whenever it is appeared in the search result. Individual page position is available in the table of the chart below. Position determinator can be complicated because of knowledge panels and carousels. So all of Google's features act as relative to positions to the search results. So take average position as a grain of salt. It's probably the one I use the least out of all of them, but it is a good indication to see if there's something causing relative drops. But you got to remember, the more keywords you rank for, the average position might go down. But you can see here, when we first started in back in time, like 16 months ago, we had a lot of volatility in our position as Google was working out what we do, and then it started to stabilize. And you can see that our average position is sort of staying sort of relatively steady as we sort of get pages and remove pages. So that's average position. These are your 4 key metrics. So I'm just going to bring them all up for now. So this is my online guy. This is the life of my online guy for the last 6 months. That is what it looks like. Now, obviously, this doesn't look like anything to anyone at the moment, but when I break down what it all means, hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. And then the second most important part is actually here. So you have queries. So these are the actual physical things people have been searching to find my online guy. You can see we get a lot of clicks from our branded search. These are the individual pages that are ranking. So you can see here like SEO optimization, web design Perth. So SEO numbers in the last 18 months has had 400 clicks. My online guys had 1,000 clicks, so on and so forth. So that's the individual pages, and these are the actual things people have typed into searches. And as you can see, there's literally thousands of them. That's everything anyone's ever clicked on up to that point has ever clicked on to find us. Web design and SEO work together. Digital marketing agency in Washington, because obviously we got WA. CBD, digital marketing agency, someone looking for a cannabis agency. SEO near me, marketing agency, Cottesloe. So you can see these are the searches, and lifetime, these are the clicks. So countries is the next one. These are where our clicks have come from. So you can see a portion of ours is Indian traffic. Obviously they're scammers, but you can see the queries that they show up for that they come from. Devices, I don't use devices as much, but it will tell you mobile and desktop and how much of your ratio of your traffic comes from either. Search appearance. I've never been able to work out how this works, so I've never used it. And then dates. So you can see it just gives you the date, this as a date range. Now, you can also filter these by certain triggers. So you can see if you only want to see website pages, things that have had over 100 impressions, you can go like this and go greater than 100. And this is really good for filtering out all the chaff, so you only see the important ones. So that's that. And then this second single most important thing is the export tab. So you can actually export all this data into Google Sheets and stuff and actually make tables to determine what it's about. Okay, so that's basically the performance page in a nutshell. Now, what the hell are we looking at, Jimmy? Is probably the question you guys are asking. Now, obviously, I've been doing this a long time, so I can look at this and I can make decisions based off it just by looking at it. But I think the best way to do this is the core underpinning thing is you can basically tell the life of a website off this. Basically, a confluence of several things coming together. So you don't look at generally one of these things in a vacuum. You look at them as correlated to each other. That's why Google allows you to put them over the top of each other. But it's never SEO is never. There's never one thing that's causing something. It's never like this is the speed's slow, so that's causing the website to slow down, and that's causing the rank drop. It's never really like that. It's always a confluence of several things coming together, and these key metrics are especially impressions and click-through rate. What determine clicks, and then clicks are what determine inquiries. So you can go here, I can look at these two, for instance, and you can look at certain specific things okay, so one of the first things I do when I take on any client is I have a look if they have this. A lot of them don't, but if they have this, and the reason I'm telling you to drop everything and turn this on is because you only get one chance to collect this data. It only collects from the time you start recording it. So it's important to have, even if you're not going to use the data, to have it on because you may need it in the future. But you can look at things like this, right? So you can see this big spike in click-through rate right here and here. So 31st of May, what was happening around that time to cause that? So let's look. I'm going to switch clients for a second. I'm going to look at one that was underperforming in the last couple of days, and it's fixed itself. That's what I covered off in the last video that everyone mixed, because my online guy, it kind of hums along. There's not really much here I can show you because there's just not huge click volumes for what we do, except for people searching my online guy. But this is where it's really cool. Actually, I'll stick with this quickly to show you this. So every website is made up of a series of pages, and each one of those pages is effectively its own set of results. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to see how my web design page in Perth is doing. So I can click on this, and it only shows you the data. It filters the data for that page, and you can see we got 26 clicks in the last 3 months. zero click-through rate because obviously we had a lot of impressions, but our average position has been slowly increasing, and it's taken a bit of a hit in the last couple of weeks. But you can see it's only this page. Now I can actually look at the real queries that we showed up for and people actually clicked to find us. So you can see here we got our clicks on this side, and you can see Web Design Perth had got 3 clicks. Small Business Web Design Perth got 3 clicks. And then let's say, for instance, I wanted to find out what days I got those clicks. You can actually drill down by query and see, oh, wow, got 1 click here, got 1 click here, got 1 click here. So I got shown 100 times and it got clicked, but my average position was 31. So someone's actively gone through the search results to find that. That's how granular you can get with this, this tool. And that's why it's super valuable. But let's have a look at this client that is underperforming, and I'll run you through over the shoulder how you would go about looking at this data and making decisions from it. That might be the easiest way. You know, I teach a man to fish sort of scenario. As always, guys, if you've got any questions, just let me know. I'm going to keep checking there. But so as you can see here, I always like to start on a macro level, so really zoomed out, and I generally like to look at one data point to start with. And you can see here, we were trending upwards, up and to the right, and you're going to get natural fluctuations. This is why I don't like looking at rank trackers very often, because you're always going to get natural fluctuations as Google tests you in different positions. So that would have been a test in a different position. That would have been a test in a different position. That would have been a test, probably a test there, an inverse. But you can see here, this drop here from Tuesday to Saturday was abnormally large. We went from getting about 90 clicks a day down to 30. So it's like, okay, well, that is well, it's not concerning to me immediately, because you see this over time, the ebbs and flows naturally pop out. But what is concerning is if this was to stay like this. And generally I'd wait a little bit longer to analyze this, but for the sake of exercise here, I'm going to show you. So the first thing, let's say I'm analyzing this client, and it's what we do daily. And I go, okay, well, they've taken a bit of a hit here. That looks abnormal relative to the trajectory of growth, which would be from here to here. You know, fluctuation like that. What's caused that? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for confluence between impressions and click-through rate and position. So I bring up all the data and I remove clicks because I've already looked at that. And you can see that an impression, which is any time that we're able to be clicked on a result, took a significant hit as well, probably a bigger hit. So we weren't visible. We got a significant drop in our visibility during that period. And you can see that our average position jumped a lot to pick up that slack because the positions that we dropped obviously weren't ranking that well. We're ranking that high because it didn't drop the position much. But you can see here our click-through, it wasn't affected significantly. It was a little drop, but it wasn't affected. So we had a significant drop in our clicks and significant drop in our impressions, basically relative. So immediately, I know for a fact that this drop was caused by lack of visibility in search, because there's several things that can cause that. A drop in clicks. Is the website down? Is it a lack of impressions? Is it a website down? Is it a technical issue with the site? Is it, is it us, the Google changing its algorithm potentially? There's so many things that can cause a drop. You need to have like some kind of core assumption about what's actually caused it, like where to look. So you can see here as an overall health, you're like, if that was only dropping to there, you probably wouldn't be too concerned about it. But you can see a big drop in impressions and clicks. We need to have a look. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to zoom in. So I'm going to go to the last 28 days and have a look. I'm like, you can see the last 28 days. It gives you a bit more of a granular look, and you can see the big drop there. And you got to remember that it's not real time. I was last updated on the 13th, which is Sunday. Sorry, 14th, which is Sunday. It's now Tuesday, so it's 2 days behind. I want to come in here and just make sure I see the inverse has happened. The click-through rate has stayed the same, and then our position has stayed relatively stable as well. So it's a visibility issue. So how do we determine what pages have been affected here? This is where we use comparisons. So I'm going to zoom in on a 7-day period like this. And I'm going to compare that, because what we need to determine now is whether it was a site-wide drop in clicks or where it was specific pages that took hits. You can see here we lost 200 clicks in 7 days. Our click-through rate stayed the same and our position moved slightly up, but big drop in impressions, big drop in clicks, as we've seen as we were out. So we want to zoom in and just check in on what's going on that. No questions. So we can come in here and now you can see, if I go to the pages, you can see which pages took a big hit. So you can see that 200 of that 200 and something drop came from 2 articles. So, and the drop in impressions is the same. So it's like, okay, why did those 2 articles take a dump? And we can click on that and let's start to dig. So you can see the big drop here and you can see the big drop in impressions. So that's as far as we can tell from the page level. We use the page tab to determine what pages are struggling, and then we can use the queries to see what we're getting less clicks. Okay, so you can see here, do retirees pay capital gains tax in Australia? Got a 19 click difference and a 78 impression difference. So it was being shown a similar amount. That's disproportionately low, but it wasn't getting clicked on as much. So just from my technical knowledge, I know that for a fact that's probably lost its snippet. So probably nothing to be as concerned about, because you can see by the click-through rate, it went from a 10% click-through rate to a 3% click-through rate, but it didn't actually lose very much position. It went from 1 to 1.6. So what probably happened is that it lost a snippet. So what I'm going to do now is actually manually look at that query. And unfortunately, yesterday you guys didn't see it, but this wasn't here. Now it's come back. So in a couple of days, this will recover. But you can determine based on data what's doing. So some of the key indicators here is the fact that, it was a big drop in clicks, a small drop in impressions. So it was still being shown in results and clickable, but it had a big drop in clicks, and then a huge drop in impressions. A 10% click-through rate is really high. For it to drop to 3, it has to be below the fold. It has to be below this bit because it's not the first thing people see. This has a really high click-through rate because people see it. So we can go back in here and go, okay, well, I'm going to go back in a couple of days and just double check this, make sure on Tuesday at 5 p.m., it's starting to gain it back. But let's have a look at some of these other keywords. So if we go here, we were trying to find confluence, right? So if I just look at the clicks and do retirees paying capital gains tax, minimal impression loss, big drop in click-through rate, drop resulted in 3 clicks loss. We didn't have that. Now we do. So as an SEO, I go, that's Google trying different things, or was something out of our control, and it's now back to the way it was. So that is nothing to be concerned about. So we will, if we zoom back out again, we will recover significant amounts of that traffic back once Google gets time to catch up on Search Console. So you can see here it's already starting to creep back up by like Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday, we should see this back up to here. That's my assumption. So not every time, this is why it's really important to have Search Consoles, because you want to gut check what an SEO is saying. And the only way to be able to do that is look at data. And you don't necessarily need to know exactly how to determine why that's dropped or what's caused that, because that's what you pay SEOs to do. But you need to be able to do triage and first aid and go to your person you're working with or yourself and go, shit, that doesn't look right. What's caused that? So if you were in, just think about it, right? If you were in here and you've seen this big drop on Saturday, you could be like, is the website down? No, it's not. Is there a technical issue with the site? No, the website's working fine. Okay, well, it's probably, I'm going to have to explore this. You go in there and you see where it's at. You click those keywords and go, oh, actually, has this happened? Okay. And you go from being like panic mode, oh crap, to being like, actually, it will sort it. I'm just going to have to wait a couple of days to see if this sorts itself out. That's what SEOs actually do. So we'll just quickly check that other article that was copping a hit. So remember, we're going to zoom in. We're going to go last 28 days. and we're going to go to comparing that to the last 28 days. And we're going to look at that other article that took a big hit, which was, see, this shandies it a little bit because we're too far out. So we can go here and go this primary residence article. So we're going to click on here and we're going to look at the queries and we're going to see where we took hits. See, because the thing with SEOs is you have the luxury of seeing multiple clients. So you can see confluence across several clients if there's big issues. But we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to look at our click-through rate and position. So again, we're trying to determine what's actually caused this. And I'm just going to hide this for a sec. You can see, let's get rid of clicks for a sec. So you can see not a slight drop in the position, but a huge drop in click-through rate. Went from 55 to 25%. Now, without even looking at this, I can tell you what this looks like. You've got a snippet and you've got the first result. There won't be a question box here, I don't think. So let's have a look at the result. So that's the article there. But see, it's not 100% right. It's missing a meta tag. Now I'm going to check. So this is the meta tag here. So this is what it looks like in results. Now I'm going to check if there's a meta tag. And there is one. So Google's just decided to run an experiment. That's all that will be, is like it's deciding, okay, well, let's try and do that to see what happens. So we can determine that. And you can see here, this one only lost a few positions, but it was further down. So it only lost a slight click-through rate, but lost it. So if we go here and have a look, we can see what this looks like. And this is someone has typed this in: should I sell my rental property to pay off my primary residence mortgage? We're now in the first position. So that's probably going to recover. See here, big drop in thing. We probably lost a snippet here. And then it's trying different things. Google's just experimenting. This is why SEO takes so long to see results, is because Google's always experimenting with your livelihood, basically. With this, we've given it we've given it one of these. We've given it this. It's just deciding not to put it on there for something. It could be a bug, but there's nothing I can do to fix that. I just have to wait for Google. We got the top result, but because there's no description under it, it's affecting click-through rate. But then it's put us where we technically got the first two positions here. So not really super concerned. Now, the other one that I was struggling with was financial plan advisor Mandra. I think it was struggling with this one from memory. It's like moved us out. We were in the top 7 there, and now we've been moved out. So, yeah, guys. I mean, I can go on all day about Search Console. I'm happy to run anyone that's interested through it, but I really just want to show how it can be really useful to gut check what's going on, because you can get into a bit of a panic mode when you see a huge drop in rankings or drop in traffic. You can get into panic mode, but sometimes if you actually look at the hard data, there's nothing you've done, there's nothing I've done to cause that. It's just how Google's decided to do the dance. So sometimes really good to just get a gut check and use Search Console as that tool for gut checking. And as a business owner, it's important to know how your data works. And if there's one key takeaway, go get it installed on your site so that you're tracking this data, so that in the future, as you learn more about it, you can start to look at it harder. Hopefully you found this valuable, guys. I've got to go, so I've just got to finish up. But yeah, guys, keep us in the loop. If you found this valuable, let me know. Otherwise, if you want me to run through it with you one-on-one, just let me know. I'm happy to talk about Search Console, or look at if someone's got a site that's underperforming and they've access to Search Console, give me access and I'll do a bit of a deep dive on it and try and work out what's going on. All right, guys, thanks so much and have a great day. Cheers.